At first, nothing shakes and nothing explodes. The oceans simply disappear in one silent moment, as 1.4 billion cubic kilometers of water flash into vapor, expanding more than 1,600 times in volume and filling the sky in less than a second. The horizon dissolves, coastlines vanish, satellites lose the blue signal of Earth, and the planet exhales like a newborn star, remembering for a second what it was like to be fire instead of water, while shockwaves of hot air race across continents at the speed of sound, bending trees, flattening clouds, forcing the atmosphere to rise by kilometers in seconds, and lifting trillions of tons of mass upward, slightly altering Earth's rotation and slowing the planet by tiny but measurable fractions of a millisecond. Within 60 seconds, surface pressure jumps from 1 atmosphere to over 250 atmospheres, because all that steam now weighs on the air itself, making every breath feel like diving 2.5 kilometers under the ocean, where lungs collapse and blood struggles to carry oxygen, while temperatures pass 100 degrees Celsius everywhere. Oceans roar in the sky, and burning condensation rains down, scalding skin, forests and cities at once, cracking asphalt and warping steel. Sunlight is trapped as water vapor becomes the strongest greenhouse gas on Earth, boosting heat retention more than 100 times, and destroying the balance that kept the planet cool for billions of years, driving surface temperatures toward 200 degrees Celsius, turning clouds into a glowing ceiling that reflects heat back to the ground, erasing the day-night cycle as the world stops cooling after sunset, while the upper atmosphere expands upward by hundreds of kilometers and begins to glow from thermal radiation, creating an artificial aurora visible even through the steam. Every ocean ecosystem collapses in minutes as dissolved oxygen disappears. Plankton that produces more than half of Earth's oxygen dies first. Coral reefs crack from thermal shock. Massive methane plumes rise from the seafloor. And the marine food chain that feeds 3 billion people shuts down, leaving the atmosphere slowly starving for breathable air. The planet crosses a tipping point into runaway greenhouse mode like Venus, where surface temperatures exceed 460 degrees Celsius. Oceans can never return because any liquid water instantly reboils, feeding the heat loop forever, trapping infrared radiation, locking Earth into a permanent furnace, shifting the habitable zone far beyond the orbit of Mars, and forcing the climate system into a state that cannot recover, even if the sun suddenly dimmed. Steel begins to weaken above 600 degrees. Concrete explodes as trapped moisture turns to steam. Glass softens. Power grids melt. Data centers fail. Satellites lose signal through thick clouds, and cities glow at night from their own stored heat. No longer cooling when the sun sets, while bridges twist, skyscrapers crack, and entire urban zones slump into molten debris fields. Freshwater vanishes, glaciers disappear in hours, rivers flash into mist, crops fail in a single day, and without drinkable water, humans survive only 3 days, while dehydration, heat stroke, pressure collapse, and organ failure erase civilization in less than a week, forcing the last survivors to realize that no shelter can stop the planet itself. From space, the planet becomes a white gold marble, wrapped in a thick, glowing shell of steam, scattering light, radiating infrared energy into the void, slowly losing atmosphere molecule by molecule as hydrogen escapes into space, leaving oxygen behind to oxidize the surface, forming vast red mineral plains that resemble a burned and rusted world, while the mass loss slowly changes Earth's gravity and weakens its grip on the moon. The crust fractures under thermal expansion, the tectonic plates shift, volcanoes awaken across every continent, ancient carbon pours into the sky, thickening the atmosphere even more, while earthquakes ripple endlessly around the globe, reshaping coastlines that no longer touch any ocean. As magma rises through deep fractures, entire mountain ranges begin to collapse inward, releasing trapped minerals and radioactive elements into the atmosphere, while seismic waves circle the planet again and again, tearing open ancient fault lines, flooding the sky with ash and sulfur clouds that darken what little light remains, and transforming the surface into a cracked, glowing crust that pulses with heat like a living furnace. And here's the question for you. If one sudden change can turn Earth into Venus, how fragile are the ocean worlds we dream of reaching? And if you had 1 minute before the seas vanished, what would you try to save? And who would you say goodbye to? This moment is yours. Leave your answer in the comments. Imagine the last horizon, the last sky, the last breath of a blue world, and decide what truly matters when everything else is finally gone.